Hello folks, I am back with another firearms review, and this is a firearm that I've always wanted, but basically I really couldn't afford it. All of us have our economic borderlines that we're willing to sacrifice to buy a particular firearm, but I was lucky enough to see this firearm in one of the stores that I frequent, and I saw that this one was on consignment. And the price was considerably dropped, so I had to take a chance and pick this one up. And I actually laid this away for a little bit and was able to pick it up. And as you can tell by the box, this is a Dan Wesson, and it is the Dan Wesson Guardian. And like I said, it is a used firearm. It's a firearm that was on consignment. Let me move out some things right here so I can give a little more space. And move the box out of the way. Okay, and here it is. This is the Dan Wesson Guardian. This firearm is not exactly stock from what normally comes with the Dan Wesson Guardian. It usually comes with wood grips. Now the wood grips are usually have the Dan and Wesson logo with the DW on it, and I saw that the previous owner had these grips here, and I'm going to put these up. These grips here are actually VZ grips. So these are not the original wood grips. So I don't know what happened to the original wood grips, but like I said, these are the VZ grips. And I guess he tried using these grips at first, and he decided to go with something a little more flashier with these VZ grips right here, and they're pretty nice and pretty grippy. Let me start off with some specs on this firearm. This particular Dan Wesson, let me show clear, comes in 45 caliber, and that's one of my favorite calibers. I do love all my 1911s in 45 caliber, even though 9mm versions are very, very good as well. For instance, this particular firearm comes in 9mm and 38 Super, and as well as you see here in 45 ACP. Now, I did take a look at Honest Outlaw's video, and he has a 9mm version, and he really shoots this firearm in 9mm like a champ. It holds an 8-round capacity. It's forged, the frame is forged aluminum steel here for light carry, for if you want to carry this for concealed carry. Also, it's a duty finish that they call it, for a steel slide at top here, which has night sights. Also, the barrel is a match barrel. The barrel is 4.25 inches with a great sight picture. And these are tritium sights, or night sights. I don't know how well you can see that. And it has a aluminum non-skeletalized trigger. I've had a couple of firearms in the past that did not have skeletonized holes inside the trigger, but they're very good. It is serrated, as you see here. It's an adjustable trigger, and the width is 1.45 inches. The height is 5.5 inches, and it weighs 28.5 ounces. The weight's not bad at all. I used to own a Colt lightweight Commander, and this is about how the roughly the same weight, because I always wanted a Commander size. I have 3 other 1911s that are the full size, but I exactly wanted a Commander size for once. You could tell that the previous owner did some. He really kept care of all of his firearms. I heard he's traded in or bought a lot of firearms, and he's really meticulous about what he does with his firearms. So it's good to know the history when you go to a firearm store and then want to know if you're going to get a lemon if you buy a used firearm or whatever the case may be. So you want to know at least a little bit about the history of the owner. Like I said, he put in the VZ grips right here. Uh, and also, I don't know why he changed the bushing here. Sorry if I'm muzzling you, but this is a Wilson Combat bushing on here. It is a Series 80 style firearm. Yes, it does have uh, the plug. Normally, most of my 1911s, this is only the second 1911 I have that does not have a full length guide rod. So I'm trying to go back to a little bit of tradition with at least at least a 70 series. I'm not sure if I said 80 series before, but this is a 70 series because this does not have the locking block plunger, which is usually found in the back. Found in the back here. Well, it's underneath the beaver tail where it would be, but that's where your plunger would be for accidental drops, so there wouldn't be a discharge, and so forth. But yeah, this is a Series 70 version, not a Series 80. If I did say that. Um, and what I like about this is most original 1911s do not have front strap checkering. Now I like the front strap checkering. I believe it's 32 lines per inch or something of that nature, but some come with 25, 32, whatnot. But I do like the front strap checkering because I like that portion where you can get a positive grip in the front when you grip it. Grip the firearm. The problem I see with a lot of 1911 is it could be very slippery on the front strap. So all you have a lot. That's why a lot of times some people will get the wrap around Packmeyer grips, or they will put in a Wilson Combat slide in type of checkering, or even send the firearms out to get checkering done by a gunsmith. But yes, this front strap checkering I really really like. It's grippy but not too abrasive. Another thing that the owner did. This is not normal on the Guardian. This is some type. I don't know what manufacturer does this. Maybe it's Ed Brown. I'm not sure. But on this since this is the bobtail version of that the Dan Wesson has. Uh, a lot of companies do make a bobtail like Ed Brown or whatever custom shops do, and some this particular one I believe would be kind of exact to what Ed Brown does, because a lot of companies will have what they call their V bob and so forth. There's V-Bob. Everybody has a different name for either the curve mainspring housing. So this one is a little bit different. This one is checkered, but only from here to here. I've seen versions where they're all the way around, but this one is it's just enough checkering, and it's a unique pattern, just enough checkering for the back so you can get a good grip when you're holding the firearm. And like I said, this where this curve here or V-bob, whatever you want to call it, it's supposed to be reduce printing if you have it concealed. And that's the whole purpose for the commander sizes, to either have it where you can carry or have it concealed so it won't print as much. A couple other things with this. The undercut's not bad at all. There's a decent undercut here. You don't feel like you're hurting your hand during firing. The magazine release is really isn't that bad. It's not oversized. It's not too small. It's not too big. And a lot of times, this is pretty much basic, except for the aesthetics that I just showed you between here and here. But this is goes to the old saying, everything you need and nothing you don't, because you don't see any crazy designs. You just see Guardian written right here. Uh, like I said, outside of these aesthetics, it's pretty much clean, basic. There's no front striations, but in my opinion, it's not needed. I'm not even worried about that. Uh, but there were certain things that this previous owner did also. He also put in Wilson Combat magazines, which I am a big fan of Wilson Combat parts for anything from Berettas to 1911s. Now, the original magazine, this is, as you see here, this is original Dan Wesson magazine. Now, when I first racked the slide with 8 rounds of this 8 rounds in this magazine, the problem I had was once I racked the slide, it jammed. It pretty much jammed like a double feed, if you will, but I think what it was the round was pointed down in here. It was pointing down, so I could see that the round was pointed down. And for some reason, the second round that was inside the magazine, it was also inside, and it was getting hung up on the ejector for some reason. And I didn't understand that. And I didn't even fire a shot. So I kind of like got that one round out, and the slide went forward. I fired the rest of the rounds, and there was no malfunctions that locked back. So again, loaded up this magazine, put that in, and the same thing happened. So I don't know what the issue was with this Dan Wesson magazine. It is part of the firearm, so I didn't worry about it. I just normally when you have a 1911, you would have to replace it with better magazines, whether they're Chip McCormick, Wilson Combat, etc., etc. So what I did was I chucked that aside and just kept using the Wilson Combat magazines, where it fed flawlessly. No problems. Out of roughly 300 rounds, there were no problems at all. Uh, I think with this magazine, it does fit flush with the Wilson Combat magazine. It does stick out at the bottom a little bit, but I'm pretty sure they make another one where it fits a little bit. They take a lot of the plastic off or base plate off, so it will fit a little closer. I don't know if you can see that, but the feed ramp is very well. It's very well polished. Uh, like I said, I didn't have any problems with it feeding at all. It was a bit snappy, and that's what the only reason why I think it was because I've been shooting the steel frame, so I didn't consciously think to grip the firearm properly. So once I gripped the firearm properly, there were no issues of snappiness. That was just a mistake that I had from being spoiled using steel frame 1911s. The safety is not ambidextrous. I could take it or leave it. I usually like dual uh, double ambidextrous safeties. I don't know why, I'm a righty, so but to me it kind of evens out things. But this is fine. This is perfectly fine. Um, and I just want to also show you some shooting targets, and I'll get those in a minute. Okay, here are the first shots that I fired. This was actually roughly at 7 yards. These were my first shots. And usually what I try to do is, a lot of people say, oh, you're not accurate on your first few shots. Personally, I don't care. I'm just trying to feel out the firearm itself. I'm not like Justin Opinion where he can just hit basically in this 9 ring with no problems at all. But I just was experimenting and I shot I shot a little low here, over here, and then I tried to dial it in. Like I said, at 7 yards, it's basically point of aim. And I did try to experiment on whether I have to use either do a 6 o'clock hold or not. So basically, from 7 yards, it's really point of aim. And let me get the other target out. The other target right here. Now I'm pushing it back about 10 yards. And at 10 yards, I actually now these two shots here that they were my fault definitely because I was trying to call myself doing a 6 o'clock hold, and I basically, like I've said in other videos, I have a bad habit of turning to the left a little bit, so I had to make sure I kept my arms straight. So that's why these two are way out here. Then I started shooting in this area. Well, I shot in this area, so I was shooting high. So from this point on, I was getting a decent group, but I wanted to center it. So I wind up trying to do a 6 o'clock hole, and that's how I got these five right here, trying to do a 6 o'clock hole. And it's I try to do my best with trying to figure out with the distance and trying to get that together. And here's the third target. Now I'm starting to dial in. I'm dialing in roughly at, this is still about 10 yards. And what I tried to do was try to keep them all centered. I wanted to try to get right in here, but I didn't want to push my luck. So most of my shots were coming in this particular area. And that's at a pretty much a medium pace, not rapid fire. This was pretty much basically at a medium pace. And the last target, I basically just was going for headshots. I sent this out to 12 yards. And it was somewhere like 12, 13, something like that. Well, I just wanted to push it at least a few yards further than 10 yards. So I pretty much was taking my time on these shots. So it wasn't like that faster pace. So I was taking my time, obliterated this area. I don't know what happened here. I think I was trying to play around with how to shoot this. It's kind of funny. The further I go back, I have to use like a 6 o'clock hold, and the closer up, I had to use more of a point of aim. So I'm pretty much proud of that, and I really am happy with the firearm because, like I said before, I had bad luck with used firearms before, and it's pretty much for me. It was a gamble. I was a little nervous, just like I said when I pulled that slide back just to chamber around with this particular magazine. I'm just going to throw this in a drawer somewhere so I could keep it away from this firearm because I want to make sure that I keep all my good firearms with this particular one. So what I'll do is just have fun shooting this. I like this firearm a great deal. Like I said, if you want to see some good shooting videos, go to the Honest Outlaws channel and look for him shooting this particular firearm by the 9mm. So that's all I have, folks. Hope you enjoyed this video. Happy shooting. #2A.